Hey guys, how's it going? So this is going to be a 22 King's Rest on Tyrannical, Bolstering, Awakened, Explosive. This is another post-game commentary. If you guys like this, let me know. I just want to remind everybody as well, if I can get to 100 subscribers, then I will start getting a schedule going and streaming this on Twitch while I run these keys. One of my biggest focuses is taking out the explosive so the DPS can deal damage. You can kill the orbs in one hit with frost shock, so try and make it your job to as much as you can. Take out those orbs so that your DPS don't have to worry about it. So let's just get into the dungeon. First off, I kind of messed up here. I DPS'd that one guardian way too early. Tank didn't really have good aggro on it. All he did was have his blood plague on it, and that's not enough to keep aggro. And I just pumped like 2 or 3 lava bursts into him and just ripped aggro right away. It's not a huge deal since the tank knew what he was doing, taunted him as soon as he could, and then death gripped him in. But it can be a problem because the tank needs to make sure he's pointing those suppression slams away from everybody else. And if somebody else has aggro on him, he can't then decide where that suppression slam needs to go. And it can just get really hairy really fast. But like I said, he pulled it up pretty quickly, and we're good to go. One thing I'll note real quick is this tank is really good at managing its runic power and managing his self heals. The big thing about blood DKs is they yo-yo a lot, so they'll go down to 10%, heal themselves up, 10%, heal themselves up. This guy seems to be really good at doing that yo-yo because he pulls his runic power. As soon as he takes a big hit, death strike, back up to full health. It's scary if you don't know what to expect, but I do have the fact that I can see his runic power on that raid frame, so that I can always tell if he's above 50% runic power. I don't have to worry about him as much. See right there, he drops below 50% while he has that debuff from the tank buster here. I know that I'm gonna need to heal him because he's not gonna have a heal ready yet. So I need to get him topped off so he can get the runic power so then he can heal himself. I actually enjoy healing DK tanks as long as they know what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, it's a very scary experience for that reason. For the reason of if they don't know how to manage their runic power very well, it's almost they're very squishy because of how much they heal themselves. Blizzard balances out the self-sustain with tankiness. So the first thing here on this pack that we're coming up to is the Witch Doctors are the biggest threat up front. They do a cast called Deathly Chill that's going to hit the tank. It does do a lot of damage. Interrupt as many of them as you can. The important interrupt is the Shadow Bolt Volley that he casts. Does AoE damage on your whole party, not just melee, not just ranged. Everybody. If it doesn't get interrupted, it could potentially cause a wipe without any question. We do a really good job of getting it interrupted. I would say as a healer, as a Resto Shaman specifically, keep that target as your focus target, and then if you see that your team doesn't have any interrupts ready, interrupt it. Or even if they have interrupts ready, if you're doing lower keys and you don't have somebody if you're not in a group that you're able to communicate with, just interrupt it every time you see it. That would be my best piece of advice for those Shadow Bolt volleys. I hate this pack in particular, and just because I'm bad at dodging the tornadoes. Really no other reason besides that. Actually, they're not super difficult. There's not a whole lot going on that you need to worry about. I'm just bad at dodging the tornadoes. So I'm really glad I'm not melee right now. Like my paladin would always get hit by the tornadoes. I'd have to bubble way too much because I would just tank them to the face. But as a Resto Shaman, I am ranged, don't have to be in melee. We have a melee with the tank, so if I ever need to drop a Spirit Link totem to save the tank, it's right there. I don't have to sacrifice my own health. I can sacrifice the warrior's health in this one, so that's nice. The other mob to kind of worry about in here is the big guy with the shield. He just hits really hard, and he has a berserk or an enrage once he gets to a certain amount of health. The hunters, if they have the correct pet out, are able to dispel it, which makes my life easier because I can't dispel it. But they also have that shield that they put up, and it will just block all the incoming damage from the front, so you have to make sure you get behind him. Here he gets really bolstered, so our tank just goes on the other side of the square, runs back and forth, and he never gets hit by it. So we all just damage it. No one's taking any damage. It's nice and easy. First boss, this serpent guy. Not a whole lot you have to think about with him. He only does 2 real mechanics. I don't know what that bloodlust was there. We lost like 4 or 5 seconds of uptime on it because he popped it really early. But anyways, he only has a couple mechanics. The tank can honestly mitigate the auto attacks himself, but he does Spit Gold, that Gust, and then Lure's Call. And if you're standing right behind him, he does a Tail Thrash, but I forget about that one because I rarely stand right behind him. So Spit Gold, he puts the debuff on a target, and it just does a lot of damage over time. Once it ends, you'll drop a little pool on the ground. If you stand in that pool, you take damage, so don't stand in the pool. You want to try and put the pools as far away from the boss as you can, because once you cast Lure's Call, little gold bloblets will spawn, and they will move towards the boss. If they reach the boss, he gets a big shield, and it's pretty much a wipe, because you're not going to be able to kill him. An important thing here, because it's Tyranical, he's going to be doing a lot of damage with that Spit Gold. With the Spit Gold. So try to get those healing surges pre-cast. You have a couple seconds. Once you see the debuff go on the target, you have a second to get that cast going. If you have the time, if you see who he's going to cast it on before he casts it, put the Earth Shield on the target first, and then once he gets the Spit Gold on them, you get that healing surge out. It's going to do 20% more healing. I put a slow totem down here just so that we have more time to deal with the little golds before they get to the boss. Makes it a little bit easier on us. I use Mana Tide Totem because I'm just having to pump heals. So I use that Mana Tide Totem, get my mana stabilized a little bit, and we're good to go. Other than that, the biggest thing about this is just managing the room. So the tank has to make sure he's kiting in an efficient manner, and DPS need to make sure that they're slowing, stunning, and killing those golds before they get too overwhelming to be able to DPS them and the boss. So that was super clean. Nobody died. We're happy. Coming up on this room, not a whole lot to really worry about. It's not fortified, but you do need to think about bolstering, especially on this pack here. The king has a lot more health than the agents around him, and once he gets 4 stacks of bolster from the agents, he starts just doing a lot of damage. He will put a hidden blade debuff on one target. If you're anybody but a shaman, I believe, you can dispel it. Otherwise, move away from your party, because you'll drop little green pools on the ground, as you see there, and it just does damage to whoever stands in them. So I'm trying to single target. I'm trying specifically to focus target the king down, and just kill him as quickly as I can so that he doesn't get super bolstered for a long time. The agents, what you see they do is put a little purple swirly on the ground, jump to it, dodge it. Yeah. So now he's very bolstered. You see the tank, he's running away because he's gonna get meleeed and it's gonna hurt really bad. So the tank is kiting him back so he doesn't take as much damage. Fortunately, it's not fortified. Otherwise, fortified bolstering with a pack like that, if you're not super careful, gets really out of hand really fast. Resto Shaman gets to help with the interrupts here. Just interrupt the cast from the Queen, the Shadow Bolts. Make sure that you stay away from this Blade Storm. If things are getting hairy and you need to cast while he's chasing you, just pop your Spirit Walker's Grace, run away, and heal at the same time. The Queen will do a seduction on one of your party members. Again, great thing about Shaman. You can target that party member and you can purge the effect on them and they come back to being friendly. One semi-good thing about King's Rest for Shamans though is because it's so small, everybody's pretty grouped together, so if you do need to cast out Healing Rain or a Chain Heal, everyone's already grouped up enough so that you don't have to worry about it. So like right here, we're all grouped up. If I'm casting Chain Heals, it's going to bounce to everybody because everybody's so close together. Otherwise, if you have a lot of area that your group is spread out, those Chain Heals is going to hit one person. It's going to feel really bad. Channel Lightning, just stay away. After he casts it, you can displace him with a Death Grip or a Typhoon, something like that, and it'll cancel the cast. The other guy does that Severing Axe or something, whatever it's called, that puts the bleed on everybody, and that's where I was casting those Chain Heals. Whenever you see him casting that ability, try to have a Cloudburst Totem at least started, and then pump some heals to the Cloudburst Totem. That way, by the time that last tick of the bleed goes off, you can pop your Cloudburst Totem, top everybody off, be good to go. Dodge the Hunting Leap. He'll jump on you and then slash in a frontal. And dodge the purple stuff on the ground. That's all there really is to these two guys. It's not a whole lot to worry about healing, unless someone's standing on the purple stuff or standing in front of the Hunting Leap. There's not a whole lot to worry about. They do seem to be wrecking the tank a little bit, so I'm having to put a little extra heals in them. But overall, it's pretty easy to manage right there. I know I say this every time on this boss, but always make sure you dispel your tank. Even if you're going to drop a Tremor Totem, still get at least one dispel off. That way they're not taking as much damage, because even though you have the Tremor Totem to dispel the fear once it goes off, they still take the damage from whenever the fear actually goes off to begin with. So right here, I dispel myself, I drop the Tremor Totem. He still took damage whenever the fear went off, but he wasn't actually feared for very long. Personally, I do dispel myself more than I dispel the DPS, just because in case something does go wrong, I want to make sure that I am able to heal if the tank needs it. Say if he runs out of cooldown, or if somebody accidentally fears him, like say if I dispel the hunter while it's on the warrior and then the warrior fears the tank, if I dispelled the hunter and I'm also feared whenever the tank gets feared, that can be really bad. So just personally, I play it safe, dispel myself over the DPS. With this guy, always dodge that Purification Beam. It does a lot of damage. If you need to walk in the red swirl on the ground, walk into the red swirl on the ground. it'll do less damage than the dot that the purification beam puts on you. You don't really get to do a whole lot of damage on these guys, because there's just a lot of movement, and Resto Shamans don't have a lot of on-the-go quick cast AoE damage. I could be spamming Frost Shock on everybody, I guess, but I'm better off putting out Riptides and getting healing searches out whenever I need to. I can get an occasional Chain Lightning off. I do just pop my Spirit Walker's Grace so I can move around and cast a little bit, but it's one of the bad things. One of the things that I do miss about playing my Paladin is I could just run in, drop a Consecration, and then run out if I need to. Or I could just run in, stay in, use Blessing of Freedom, and then not worry about the debuff at all. But everyone's got their drawbacks. If I was playing my Paladin, I'd have to be in melee range all the time. Couldn't stand safely away from the pack to dodge stuff. So I know people do pull these fluids with the constructs on the side. It's really dangerous to do whenever it's bolstering, because they will die before the construct does, and bolster the construct up super high. And no, he's not going to kill you if he's super bolstered for the most part. It's just going to take a really long time to get him to die. We got the same things here. I'm just trying to keep Flame Shocks out, cast Chain Lightning, casting some Frost Shocks on the explosives that spawn to kill them fast, spot healing when I need to. The buffs they did to Riptide recently actually feel really nice, so we do have a little bit more on the go healing because of that. You guys actually always want to tank these guys right next to the coffin where the tank has them, because they're going to do that in tomb, and depending on where they're standing, if they're standing there, it will always go to that coffin, so that you can all just stack on it, and as soon as the entomb cast goes off, you can just click the coffin, release the guy that goes in it, be good to go. Weird pull. So this guy, the only thing that you really need to worry about as the healer is the drain fluid. Burn corruption that AoE does on the ground. If anybody gets hit by it, they're dead. So as a healer, you don't really have to worry about it. If they get hit by that, it's their fault. They're dead. Drain fluids, it's a dot, does a lot of damage. And then once he's done casting it, he leaves a debuff on the target that will stay there until the target is healed above 90% HP. So once they get that on there, heal them up. I put the Earth Shield on whoever has the drain fluids on them, just so I can increase the amount of healing they get. Whenever he does an entomb, it's not going to be the same one every time. For the boss, it doesn't matter where he stands, it's not going to be the same one. So try and stay. You want to try and have some people on one side, some people on the other side. That way you can more easily get to the tombs when you need to. And so I just pop my Astral Shift here so I don't take a lot of damage. I can Earth Shield myself, heal up, and I'm good to go. He does melee really hard. So you're going to have to be spot healing the tank a little bit more often than you would on other fights as well. I waited a little bit too long to start healing the warrior here. He doesn't die, but I definitely should have started healing him sooner. But I was too busy getting lava bursts in there. And that's it. Boss down. These guys here, make sure that you don't stand next to the Berserker. If you stand too close to him, he's going to put his bleed on you. And his bleed on anybody but the tank can be pretty fatal. As for the Hexers, try to interrupt as many casts as you can. Spectral Bolts wind up doing a lot of damage. Hex is important to interrupt, not as important on Shaman because I can dispel the curse if the Hex cast does get through. Berserker also does do a leap. It's the same thing that the agents do. Purple swirly on the ground. Don't stand in it. He only won't hit you. The Witch Doctors can put down a healing tide totem, or a healing stream totem, a healing totem. You can do one of two things. You can either move away from the totem, or you can just DPS it down. Yeah, so the healing tide totem here. If you just move them away from the totem, it won't heal them, or you can just kill it before it gets any heals off as well. Just make sure you don't kill your own totem. That's a joke since you can't actually kill your own totem. That would be kind of cool though. Put a totem down that you DPS, and then it DPSs the targets around it. It's kind of like the Kyrian ability, the Venthyr totem. If you put the totem down and then deal damage, it pulses AoE damage, which is pretty cool. I don't think I'm gonna like it very much because you have to move it around a lot. So that's not really what I'm looking forward to. Right here, things got a little hairy. I had to pop Ascendance because somebody had the poison barrage on them that the hunter casts. It's a cone of arrows, and it will hit everybody in that cone and put the poison debuff on them. I can't dispel poisons. It's either poison or disease. I can't dispel either one of those, so it's really unfortunate for me. I guess in these downtime moments when there's not a whole lot going on, I should talk about my plans for Shadowlands. I don't know what killed me right there. I think a cast went through, and then another cast went through, and I just wasn't paying attention. I could have interrupted one of them, or healed myself after the first one got on me, popped a defensive. The death was completely my fault. People could have interrupted, yes, but I should have also paid more attention and not gotten hit by it. But yeah, I'm still looking for a push team for Shadowlands. I don't really have anybody that's willing, I guess, to push to rank 1 with me, or ready, I guess. I do have my team that I push with for my Paladin, but I don't know if they're going to want to run quite as much as I'm going to want to. I do still absolutely want to play with those guys. Just not sure if that's going to be the team that I push with. I'm actually finding a bunch of pretty cool people in these pugs. I've added a few friends on Battle.net just to try and network out a little bit to find a group to push with. And if there's any other kind of content that you guys want to see from me, based around dungeons and Mythic Plus and Shaman, just let me know. I'll see what I can do. Definitely any ideas that you guys can give me, it would be great. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do, where I want to take the channel. I do want to probably focus on streaming in the future. But we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to do YouTube right now just to get, you know, people over to my content for right now. So this chick is not fun. I thought that I could kind of stay over on the edge and not have to worry about the axes as much, because again, I've never really done this as a ranged character. I should have just done what I normally do whenever I play melee, is stand in the middle with everybody and then run out and then run in and then run out and then run in. But I didn't, and that winds up costing me a lot here later. That severing axe does a lot of damage, and it really sucks that I don't have any sort of external defensive to help out whoever gets the debuff, the bleed. My paladin had sacrifice and blessing of protection, and this is really bad. I was trying to top off the hunter, and I get hit by one of the whirling axes, and I get the severing blade debuff on me, the bleed on me at the same time, and I go down. I panicked. I did not do what I was supposed to do. It cost me my life. Fortunately, I had Ankh, or reincarnation, so I didn't have to worry about it. This barrel through here, if the hunter feigns death at the right time, they actually don't, or he won't do the barrel through, and he won't reset like he did right there. So he casts it twice. After he does the barrel through, every time he does a backhand that destroys the armor of the tank. So you can do a couple things. Tank can either just run away. You can have a hunter pet tank that that backhand, take the debuff, and then the warrior or the whoever your tank is, taunt him back, and you can be good to go there. This barrel through, you need to make sure you have your entire party standing between you and whoever the barrel through is on, because it splits the damage. If he just hits you, it will one-shot you. Third boss here. Get as many lightning bolt interrupts as you can. The main interrupt to worry about though is the poison nova. It will put a poison debuff on the entire party, which, as again, shamans can't dispel poisons. Even if they could, you can only dispel one person. You're not going to be able to heal everybody. He also does call the elements. Always kill the explosive totem first. It will, as it says, explode, and on hierarchy like this, could wipe the group immediately. After that, it's dealer's choice on which one to kill next. You want to at least make sure you get the earth wall totem, because that puts a shield on the target, or puts a shield on the boss, and you can't do any damage to him because it keeps refreshing the shield over and over again. You can dispel the shield as a shaman, but with how quickly it refreshes, it doesn't matter that you dispel it. Every boss that you kill in these champions, these three bosses in one, will do their abilities after they're dead as well. So that's why you still see the whirling axes, you still see those barrel throughs, and then they're in a different pattern every week. So you could have this guy first next week, or the barrel through guy first next week. So it depends on what week it is as to which one goes through. So here I'm just going up to start the RP to open the bridge. If you don't do that, the bridge to the last boss, to Zul, will stay closed, and you can't actually go onto the bridge inside the realm, which is what we're gonna do. So to me, I would have kept that berserker dude and just kept him for the very end of the boss, or very end of the dungeon, and just had him to kill the bosses with. But that's just me. Here we're trying to rush back to the other side as quickly as we can so that we can get the big troll dude for percentage, and then get back into the obelisk and take him over to Zul. So tank uses a speed pot to get out so that he can pull the big troll guy and not pull anything else, because we don't need any more enemies for percentage.
Beware. Beware.
Going in. As a healer, stay back with the DPS, and DPS the DPS these tentacles with your DPS, and also keep them alive. Sometimes the tank will run ahead and not stay with your damage dealers. And you might be tempted to run with your tank to keep him alive, but he's going to be fine. Always stay with your DPS, because they're the ones that's going to be taking damage from the tentacles. So yeah, you don't worry about the tank. Stay with your DPS, keep them alive, and then go to the tank after all the tentacles are dead. Unless the plan is for everybody to run away and then you group the tentacles up into one spot, that's something that is done. But if that's not what you're doing, if the DPS is staying back on the tentacles where they spawn originally, stay with them. Don't go with the tank until everything's dead. Zul unfortified is terrifying. It's Tyranical, so he's not going to do quite as much damage. He does still deal a lot of damage. I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage myself, because I'm going to have to pump a bunch of heals into the tank. DKs are good at tanking Zul because they have the anti-magic zone. They've got anti-magic shell. They're really good at the healing. So they take the damage from his debuff, and then they just heal it right back up with death strikes. Yeah, see right there, he was almost dead. Use a death strike up to full HP. I didn't mean to summon my Earth Ellie there. That was a mistake. I misclicked him. So preferably on this boss, I save Lust for the second Raptor to come out. First or second Raptor. I don't normally Lust right at the start. I just try and kill the Raptors quicker. Because once you get rid of the Raptors, the fight's pretty easy. Blade combo is big damage on the tank. Gale Slash summons the tornadoes. And the leap is he jumps on somebody, does AoE damage. This Raptor does the hunting leap just like the other ones do, so just stay away from him. Your party will take damage from the leap based on how close they are to him whenever he does fall down, or whenever he does hit the ground. So you'll see whenever I get it, I try to Ghost Wolf and run as far away as I can, so they don't take as much damage. See, they didn't take as much damage as we did from that first one. Yeah, blade combo. Whenever you see him doing that, make sure that you have something ready for the tank. Most of the time he's going to need some sort of big heal after that if he's not using a defensive. Tizala does an AoE fear. That's really the only thing he does is the Deathly Roar. So I try and pop my Tremor Totem down before it goes off. Fortunately, you can't Tremor every one. If you kill him quickly enough, you'll only get two casts. So it's not a huge deal. And also there, I had my Ascendance ready. As soon as we came out of the Roar, I went ahead and popped Ascendance, get everybody topped off, so that we're ready for whatever comes next. Now the Raptors are dead, it's a pretty easy fight from here. He'll start summoning some spears on the ground, or that fall down to the ground. Just don't stand in the swirlies. You'll dodge the spears, and you'll live.
Beware.
Also, if a DPS or you, well, a DPS ever gets one shot by an ability, 9 times out of 10, that's going to not be your fault as a healer. If someone dies to a mechanic that they should have dodged and that one shots them, it is not your fault as the healer that they died. I say you as well. It is your fault if you die to a one-shot mechanic because you should have stood in it to begin with. It's not your fault on a healing aspect. But it is your fault in a situational aspect. But we're done with the key. Timed it. It's a pretty clean run. Only a couple deaths. Overall, pretty fun. I'll catch you guys later.